Ambassador Kamal for such an optimistic view of Pakistan. And he has agreed to take questions from the floor. And our student Kyle here, and we have a couple of microphones. So let's start in the back.
Could you give us some specifics about the similarities you stated that the United States and Pakistan are very similar? What are those similarities? Thank you.
Thank you. Nuclear security, first of all. I've been in the nuclear business for 40 years, so most of you have not. So I can just tell you 2 or 3 things. Firstly, making a nuclear bomb is not difficult. It's relatively easy. If you have internet at your disposal, the design is available on the internet. Making a good nuclear bomb is difficult. Making a bad one is very easy. But making a good nuclear bomb, which means getting a proper yield out of it, is more difficult. That is what really takes time. But even if you make a good nuclear bomb, that is only 25 cents on the dollar. 75 cents on the dollar is the command and control system in nuclear weaponry. That is where the most difficult part of nuclear weapons, command and control. And so we went and we produced a nuclear device, and I can assure you that from 1990 to 1998, all of us had doubts about the quality of the command and control, because we had achieved nuclear weaponry, but we had not achieved nuclear command and control. Now, command and control really involves things like security, which is what you've spoken about. And so we went round to countries, including the United States and Canada, to say, look, we want to learn about security. But at the time, we were being subjected to sanctions. And so security information was denied to us. And we kept telling them, saying, look, it is in your interest to teach us about security in command and control. Not just our interest. But people here would not understand it because, you know, they are hog-bound by resolutions and the letter of the resolution rather than the spirit of the resolution. And so we got no assistance in nuclear security until 1998. In 1998, thanks to the Indians, who really, I think, made a serious mistake in exploding their devices because they didn't need to. They already had done it in 1974, and so they could have kept quiet. But when they exploded, Pakistan had to explode because we were scared that they did not believe that we had nuclear capacity. And so we had to demonstrate to the Indians that we had nuclear capacity. And just between you and me, and I hope that there are not too many Indians in the audience, the yield of the Pakistani nuclear bombs in 1998 were all superior to the yields of the Indian nuclear explosions. And the United States knows it because it measured all those yields. So now it was the cat was out of the bag. You had demonstrated nuclear capacity. And then we could go to the United States and say, look, it's over. There's no more, you can't prevent us now because we have shown you that we've done it. Now you might as well talk to us about nuclear safety. And that is when nuclear safety information and techniques started coming to Pakistan from the United States and Canada and other countries. And you now have published figures about the amount of money which the United States has put into nuclear safety only in Pakistan. And the figure is of public knowledge. $30 million have been put into Pakistani nuclear safety. And the certificate about the quality of nuclear safety has been given by the US government itself, which has on the record stated that we are sure that the safety of the nuclear devices in Pakistan is to our entire satisfaction. Now, this is what President Bush says. Perhaps you don't trust President Bush, which I can understand. But the statement has been made on the record. But the second argument is perhaps the stronger argument, which is that when you say we'll get into the wrong hands, Who are you talking about? You're talking about people with beards? People with beards have been pushed back into the caves in Pakistan. They're down from 18% to 4% again. And they are now nobodies in Pakistan. How are they going to get anywhere near? They're not going to get control of the government. They can't. They've lost out in these elections. They are finished. So no future government of Pakistan in any foreseeable future is going to be a bearded government. And so what you may call the wrong hands, which can either be somebody illegally going and getting hold of a weapon, not possible, cannot be done. Or somebody legally getting it by becoming the government, not possible politically. And so I would just assure you that you can afford to sleep in peace. Now, your second question was about similarity. That is more difficult to answer. I know that Pakistanis, the average Pakistani, is deeply impressed by the United States. And sometimes when these foolish questions are asked in this country, because really this country beats me at times, when they say, are you with us or against us? What utter nonsense behind this question. And what President Bush does not know is that that it is not a new question. Mr. John Foster Dulles asked this question in the United Nations of the Indian Foreign Minister Krishna Menon 60 years ago. And he asked Mr. Krishna Menon, he said, Mr. Minister, are you with us or against us? And Krishna Menon replied, yes. And John Foster Dulles did not understand. Now, it's not easy for a Pakistani to give credit to an Indian foreign minister, but this was pure genius in reply. And so the similarities, the Pakistani respect for what you call the American way of life, which I don't like as a term. What I like is the American values, the values which are contained in the fundamental documents of this country. Read those documents and see how divine a hand which must have been behind those people who drafted those fundamental documents. Because you sit down at a table, you cannot draft documents like that today. And so there is respect for the fundamental values of the United States. The disagreement which exists, and it's a wide disagreement, is about the manner in which some of the foreign policy interests of this country have been defined and executed. And those differences exist. And those differences are not only recognized by us, but are recognized by half of this country itself. Half of this country does not agree with the manner in which US values and US interests have been enunciated and defended by the other half of the country. And so I have no worry at all about the similarities between the United States and Pakistan.
Thank you. Looking at my face, I'm too old to be a student. Looking at my brains, I'm probably too dumb to be a professor. But I have some observations I want to talk to you about. Having spent quite a bit of time in Pakistan, I saw some of the education systems and some of the treatment of females. And I was very impressed in both directions. One, we've had people where the grandfather was a tinsmith making pots and pans. The son worked hard, serving an apprenticeship, became a machinist. And the grandson ended up being an engineer. And everyone was highly committed to what they were doing. So they have a tremendous tradition of learning, of the importance of learning and education. The second observation involved the first time I was over there at an industrial complex in Sindh province. We needed some secretarial work, but they were all males. No females were permitted in the plant. When I went there,
Do you have a question?
what?
Do you have a question?
Comes to it. Let me lead. There are 2 points, and I'd like to ask for comments.
I want a question, and then we have many other questions.
Okay, let me just finish this one. And I found